What's up, guys? Today I just want to talk about something a little more generic. Crossed my mind. And there's something about the way people comport themselves you need to realize. It's very inconsistent. People don't have a concept of consistency in the sense they'll tell you things that don't make any sense, but they think they make sense in the moment. What bothers me about what I hear around groups of people that haven't encountered each other previously is the idea that, well, it's a state of denial where people will basically do a host of things that are of the same theme. I'm talking about the same thing. People will do the same thing multiple times. And then they will try and deny that that's something that they do. And then basically they'll tell you that what they're doing is what you're doing, even if it's very evident that it's not something you've ever done. And it's funny. Basically, people hide behind this veil of it's like, basically, none of us are perfect. Hey, I make my mistakes just like you do, but also I'm not perfect at communication because that's like difficult. It's like I may be wrong about some things sometimes. And get this, people will follow along with what you're saying, but they don't really follow what you're saying. They're just making it look like they're following because they have their own rhetoric to serve. But they'll hide it and then say that you're being dishonest because you attack them for the problems that they ensue, that they do. Basically, they'll make it seem like you made the problem, the mistake, the manifestation. I'm thinking of a different word. I'm sure you can imagine. They'll say that you formulated the whole thing when really it's obvious that they're just trying to deny any logic. So they'll attack you for basically having a genuine goal in mind. This is the crazy thing I've noticed about people. They don't really want to hear you out for what you really have to say. They make it seem like they care what you say, but that's only because they want to serve their rhetoric. And what I've also noticed is people will basically look at you problem solving and trying to create solutions for people. And they will say that that's you being inconsistent because it's not calm. It's blaming, but also really blameworthy somehow when they're the ones that make accusations. People will make accusations and then accuse you of accusing them. That seems to be the most common thing that I've been encountering recently, which is really weird to say that somebody might try and make it seem like you did something that you could have never done after literally just basically denying something they did. And it's crazy. People will do that. They'll start off with this kind of thing where they imagine you doing something, so they want to serve this image they have of you in their head. So they're like, okay, imagine you doing this. How is it you haven't done this? Blah, 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 blah. And they'll try to come up with excuses in their mind of how it makes sense that you might have done something like that. And then they'll go and do a bunch of stupid shit. And then you will make it very clearly communicated that you know that they've been doing stupid shit. And another thing is people like to have these reactions of revenge, whereas instead those of us who are spiritually collected, those of us who are trying to work on our light and build bright every single day, we understood that it's about patience. We understood that it's about basically finding the mannerisms to slow yourself down, take it slow, internalize the lessons as you go along and learn them, and realize that you need to respond to one individual statement that's made by someone, an individual action that's taken by somebody. You don't go out and just react to everything you've ever had emotions about. We know this as spiritual individuals. right? You stay calm and collected. You find the response to each individual thing. You can find any coherence in your mind to articulate an accommodation to, you'd think that people, once they see a good example like that, they would follow and do the same. But really what we see in reality is people don't actually find it within themselves to do something like that. Well, excuse me, I'm sorry. But not only that, they try to make it seem like they get this picture perfect idea, this image of like a white picket fence and 3-child families, 2-parent, 3-child household, and it's really just, to me, it breaks down at the seams. It's like a conundrum that people cannot formulate something in their mind to see how you could be thinking about things differently than them, how you could maybe hold in your reactions until you accustom yourself to the circumstance and actually let out something that's relevant, something that pertains, something that connects to everything that it needs to connect to well, and does so well, and does so properly, and is not completely chaotic and out of a sense of spite or a sentiment of revenge. And this is something intrinsic, that comes, and it's something that people act like it's impossible for anyone to be different from them, but they act like they think so much differently than that. Of course, well, everybody's a different person, they can be different, but we all have similarity and commonality, so it makes us family, whatever. It's like, really, I think about it more like this. You got to look at it kind of logically and look at it from a spiritual perspective. We all look the same because we have something connecting us, not because we have something similar. This similarity in facial appearance and the way we look from an external perspective, really all that is the way we've managed to articulate ourselves to something inanimate, devoid, and blackness, insentient, non-sentient, unconscious, non-conscious, whatever you want to call it, the universe, right? The number 0. It's like, yeah, obviously, it's like you get to ontology, you get to epistemology, and all these kinds of things, and they describe, that's philosophy, right? They're breaking down the nature of the physical world in something that makes sense mathematically. But that's not always the way things work. That's not always the case in reality. And sometimes people like this get acknowledged. Sometimes it's more diverse in that, and there's a nature to things where you have to analyze things from an internal, comprehensional based, perspective of getting things from the point of view of, okay, things have already been happening. Okay, now, so imagine for a second, right? If you believe in science, whatever you believe in, the universe is infinitely big. Okay, so why is my mind not infinitely big? If things are to progress into the future, and we go on like this as a human species together, what is going to become of our architecturality, our inventionism, our creativity, and our propensity to manipulate and annihilate nature in our preference and in our success, our venture? What we're going to end up finding is we have a strong ability to control things, but we have a stronger ability to control what's closer to us. And so if you look at it like this, right, and this is something I believe, of course, right, and we believe this all spiritually, you would have to, pretty much, I want to say all spiritual beings, when we're talking about spiritual beings, we're talking about light workers out here, right, people that care about their frequency and uplifting everyone around them and shining that bright light all around and all that kind of thing, and illuminating anybody's soul and spirit that you can, any moment that you can do it, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we acknowledge that everything has an influence over everything else. That doesn't mean that things that are completely disconnected are somehow now magically connected. But it means that if you have something in a physical reality, for example, if you have a ripple in water, if you have a sound wave in the perturbation of the atmosphere of the earth, you have a frequency, you have an energy that's being carried through the frustum, that's being carried through the fabric of the nature of reality, really, the reality of nature, sorry. But, okay, the universe that everything lies within. It's a wave form. What does that mean? All other perturbations have an accounting in it. So if I have something here, it's a minuscule monad, but I can identify a point at which it has the highest energy, and that's an infinitesimally small point. It's an infinitely small point. It's a coordinate point. Excuse me. It's like 0, 0, 0. It's a three-dimensional coordinate, whatever, it doesn't matter the dimensionality. I'm just saying it's a coordinate, right? It's more of a location than a thing. It's a point, and that's where it has the most energy. We would call it infinitely much energy. You can't say infinite energy because infinite really is an amount of something. It's a description of a quantity, not a quality, but just it's not a number. So infinite. But anyway, right? But anyway. So, and when we're thinking about all this shit, excuse me for my language. I'm sorry about that, guys. I really gotta stop doing it. It's something that I've been working on as hard as I can. But moving forward, when you look at these things from a scientific perspective, you understand that everything has an influence on everything else. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that if I do something, it's ultra megalithically important and everything instantiated in the physical reality will last forever. In a way, yeah, everything's permanent. What does that mean? If I take the equation for gravity and I start trying to describe geometry, I think it's going to break down. Yeah, but that's because I'm talking about two different horses. Are they both still horses, though? Yeah, they are. And if I start trying to describe how you would groom a horse, and you acknowledge that first you need to take care of its digestive health before you start worrying about that. If it's literally been on its last leg for the past few months, you wouldn't want to worry about grooming its hair. In the same way, if I describe a square in three-dimensional reality, we're going to end up with a cube, but that square on all 6 sides is still going to have the ability to become something manifest physically. And if I consider the laws of physics, I realize that it's all related to geometry. It's not built up off of geometry, but it's built off of mathematics. And so that ability for that cube to comport itself in reality, it's going to change based off of whether I warp one of these sides or not. Now, this physical integrity, this structural strength that it has is something derivative, not intrinsic, of the unifying principle, which is what? If everything is built off of ones and zeros, then everything is going to be able to be boiled down to a 1 or 0 X amount of times, where X is lowercase. Lowercase, by the way, contrary to capital letters in mathematics, is a variable versus a constant, by the way, in case any of you don't know. But what I'm saying here is that essentially if you had all this in a tray and you were ready to bake it, okay, what would you do? Would you put just the eggs in the oven first, bake them, and then would you put the flour in the oven, and then would you? No. You'd mix it all together to get the thing that you want. Doesn't mean there's anything magical about it. It's just like you have a certain goal, so you take certain steps to achieve it. There's a result of that. There's interactions it has with everything else, but this is just part of the scheme. Don't you get it? You see, it's all in the same image. We're all on the same painting board, the same canvas. If you look at it like that, you realize all these things about mathematics and the laws of physics and blah, 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 and spirituality, it's not that they all have a connection, but they're all related. They're all things. See? What can you ever point at to me with your finger? You can call that not a thing. That right there, that's not a thing. That right there, that's not a thing. This is not a thing. I'm not a thing. What's not a thing? If you can point at it for me, you have no way to be calling that not a thing anymore. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter what you say in that regard. It's not important. So whatever someone could say to try to disrupt your integrity, you got to remember, this is something you're trying to do for them. If they don't care how you feel, peggio per lui, worse for him. It's not going to matter for you by the end of all that. It's not going to matter in the end. It's going to be a mystical puff of smoke that goes up in the air just like everything else, dissolving, getting lost, thank you, Michael Visas, in the atmosphere. This is something that comes out of us and comes right back in just like the falling tide. And so if we acknowledge it that way, what we begin to realize is that, think about it like this. Let me teach you a bit about science real quick. So as some of you know, this is the law of general relativity, I believe. General relativity, yeah. Where basically the faster something moves, the The faster something moves, the slower time moves for it relative to everything else, but really it's actually speeding up time. So we can argue that movement is just time, and this is actually a principle, a concept that's taught in physics. We know this from the concept of space-time. What we're describing is a geometry, not a coordinate plane, not a fabric, not an amount of dimensions, not a set of dimensions, not a dimensionality, but an aspect to the rumor, the noise that we hear in the physical reality we're in. Basically, it's just all in, it's all in one, it's all on one surface of surface tension. Whatever, don't worry about it. Basically, the point is, it doesn't matter. Okay, all these things that we talk about as being different things, really, they all just have a level of similarity and a level of difference. But at the end of the day, it's not got anything to do with things being completely disconnected or things being not connected in any sort of way, or things being separate individual concepts. Therefore, they should never be related syntactically. Of course they can be. We can describe how things have, we can describe the similarities between things. We can describe how things are similar and how things are different. But that doesn't mean that they're going to be the same thing, or they're going to have the same properties or behave in the same way in the physical reality we live in. Doesn't mean that they're going to manifest as the same thing, suddenly pop out of someone's, rotary orifice. But it does mean that those things are going to appear in maybe in the same place. Maybe dynamically they will somehow have influence over the same thing. They don't need to manifest in a physical place, but still physically somehow as a thing that interacts with things only. It's exclusive to interactions with things, though, not physical manifestation materially. How would you describe these things? It's simple as accepting what's really going on and then being able to differentiate those things, and not accepting the things that you know trivially you can point out to be something that's not the case. You can articulate it's not the way it is, not the way things are, not a thing that really is. And so whenever someone is going to be trying to tell you these things and say you're not acknowledging your own statements and you're going against your own word, you got to acknowledge, what are these people really doing? If you're describing what someone did and you haven't taken any words outside of that box, if you have no precedence over what other people do and people are so concerned what you're doing in your mind, why are you letting them talk to you that way? Let them say whatever they want about you. But if they're going to be making claims, and let's be real, what is a claim? It means you found something and you decide it's yours. Let's make sure that we ascertain whether that is really the truth or not. So, at the end of the day, guys, I mean, really, just look out there for these guys, people. I mean, I'm serious. They are out there, and they will try and construe your words wrongly. They will try and say that the way you say things is wrong, when really we already know, because we know the whole picture. We have the image in our mind, and they will try and make you feel crazy. Remember that this shit is not real, guys. Whatever they try and do is just an attempt at confusion. This is what demons try and do. This is their goal. This is why they possess people, etc., etc., etc. They are confusion-stirring devices. They are animals made to confuse. That is all they are for, and that's all they will ever do, guys. Don't get confused by the madness, the chaos, the rumor. Everything's rummaging around about. I understand there's a bunch of uneven ground, and those tectonic plates will come after you, baby. But remember, if you find the fault line, you will become the main item of interest in these demons' sight. So guys, stay safe. Don't let it affect you. The more you let it affect you, the more they will pull you down. They will cover you in their black paint, their dark energy. They will not allow you to shine that inner light that these monsters can't see. Ignore that. That's just a combination of things. All right, guys, look, catch you guys in another one. Don't worry about what's going on. And I hope I gave you guys some useful information to take home with you guys today. So I'll catch you guys in another video. I know this was very brief, very generic, very instrumental, not very specific or precise, but I will surely be getting back to some slightly more precise content soon. I'll give you guys some real, something tangible to put your hands on. So I hope you guys stay real, you guys stay swifty, stay alive and peaceful, and See you guys. Goodbye.
Floating higher and higher. A wonderful feeling.
I'm feeling funky, atomic dog, letting my nuts hang, kicking my balls. I'm in a fog, a sort of haze. I'm psychedelic in days, I'm out of space. I'm floating in mid-ocean, or maybe not, my system is kinda potent. I can't focus, so I ain't trying to. I'm just enjoying this existence that I'm flying through. On this head trip, I'm riding solo. They say you only live once, but I don't know though. I think I've been here at least twice, and right now I feel connected to my past lives. Right in front of my face, I'm seeing signs, and most doctors would say I'm out my mind. Maybe I am, and if I am, then I is. And if I is, then I am with the biz. Of wave riding, transcending and mind-bending. Bunny holes, white rabbits, and weird habits. Lucid dreams where nothing is what it seems. Special care for nightmares, I don't ever scream. It's all cream, it's all velvet. It's the sea of emotions, but I can sail it. I'm a raider, I'm a pirate. A head case on some out-of-body fly shit.
Reese's brains have been drawn into the flames. Reese's brain might not never be the same. Don't worry about Reese, he's just fine. Reese just had to fix some shit wrong with his mind. Reese had to get down to get up. Reese's life has been kinda crazy as fuck. Reese knows how to calibrate the chaos. Reese enjoys the psychosis for the payoff. Reese ain't never seen that Reese was saying, but Reese is pretty fucking gnarly all the same. Reese knows that reality is subjective, so Reese is never a slave to the collective.
Let's take a trip to the desert where the city can't ruffle our feathers. Let's find a spot and pull over. Let's take our shit and sit on top of that boulder. I love liquor, love weed, but for this trip that is not what we need. We gotta get a little higher. Gotta open up our third eye wider. I feel like I'm unraveling. And what the fuck is happening? Wait, I like unraveling. I'm not moving, but I'm traveling. I wanna call somebody and let them know we all somebody. I'm starting to think in high def, nigga. How much of this shit we got left, nigga?
Reese's brains have been drawn into the flames. Reese's brain might not never be the same. Don't worry about Reese, he's just fine. Reese just had to fix some shit wrong with his mind. Reese had to get down to get up. Reese's life has been kinda crazy as fuck. Reese knows how to calibrate the chaos. Reese enjoys the psychosis for the payoff. Reese ain't never said that Reese was sane, but Reese is pretty fucking gnarly all the same. Reese knows that reality is subjective, so Reese is never a slave to the collective.